Hey everyone, this is Sherry and the Therapy Birds and your people master Faith. Hi, sweetie. You can say hi to everybody? I know it. Just me and you. Ooh, it's a sweet baby. She's a beautiful girl. Alright. Baby doll. So, we were just talking, me and Baby doll. I had her blanket. She's got like a really thick pee pad under here, and mostly for the thickness of it. But sometimes we use towels, but most of the time it's a pee pad. Anyway, it was too high and she couldn't see up, so she came all the way over here to tell me that I needed to move this up so that one went down, because she couldn't see out the window. So she can see literally the whole entire room. When this door is shut, she can go all the way around in her room and see everything. And because she's so high up, she's the highest bird, she really is my lookout. Now, so she's my lookout, which means that she spends all day long and all night long really just helping everybody else by keeping an eye out for everybody. The second thing she does that she's on vacay from, so she basically found herself another job. She did that on her own. She's a smart girl. When she's out here, this is how we have an entrance that I can't at this point clog, and they come in here. So she is, even when she can't defend herself, right? Quail can't defend themselves normally, like able-bodied quail, if you want to use those language that I hate those language. I mean, let's get realistic. Faith can't fly. I mean, we probably could put something and make something mechanical to get her to fly. She may not like to fly, right? It's just not her thing. So that doesn't mean she's disabled because she can't fly. She has other attributes that make her an able-bodied, right? I mean, yes, canines in a sense don't fly, and so we wouldn't just label all the canines disabled because they can't fly like a bird. And she can't run on all four of her appendages, which is her little legs there and her little wings. Her wings are no different than our arms. They're exactly made almost identical to it, other than the fact that we don't have feathers. And then she doesn't have. So the biggest thing a lot of people don't realize is that our differences between an animal kingdom and ourselves as being human is this. And sometimes these fingers, the hands. So other than that, in our brain, now we think that we're smarter, so much smarter than animals, that there's this huge gap. That's not true. That is not true. The smartest animal on earth is not very far from the not smart. There are animals out there that are smarter than humans. Let me put it that way. So there's humans out there that their cognitive ability is so low that they can be considered lower than an animal in some cases. Not all animals, but I mean, each animal, like I said, has their. I'm trying to figure out what that is. I can see it. I just can't see it. Oh, it's just a hole. Sorry, that's bothering me. But that's my thing today, is that if we look at each individual species or individual soul, or however you want to label us, because I don't want to label us humans and animals, because it's just a label, right? God didn't sit there and say, hey, he basically said, I'm going to create some life forms that have the intelligence and to care for these other species. And unfortunately, we don't do that. We basically take advantage of everything, including our own species. So that's just there's a whole thing in the Bible about our species not being wanted on this earth or in this universe, and the debate on keeping us or not. It wasn't the debate on the flowers and the trees and the birds and the and the bees. It was humans that were debating on being kept or not because of the fact that we were selfish. We're just selfish people. And because of our selfishness, we need to do things to make ourselves look better. I don't consider myself any better as far as my soul, any better than Baby Doll's here. Her karma is her karma. When she was born, I have no control over that karma. The only person that had control over that karma is her. Now, what I see her doing differently than the ones that are what you would call able-bodied. Once again, we don't like that language. But what we would say the atypical or the average Joe quail, she has some things that is obviously different. She's not able to walk. But is she able to get herself from one place to the other? Yes, she is. This is where she eats. This is where she sleeps. She likes to look around. She will come to me if I ask her to come to me. She's able to physically move around. Can she move around as much as her species? No, she cannot. But she's very highly adapted her life. She's very important to us. She is also the nanny and au pair to almost every one of our new generation of kids. She's raised every last one of them. The only one that she didn't really raise, and she did take care of them, but that was her own hatching. And so her basically the birds that hatched with her is Ruby, Red, Teddy Bear, and Panda, and Blondie were all the ones that were hatched with her. No, not Blondie, but those were all the ones that were hatched with her. So she's helped a lot. And I'm gonna recant that. That's not the group that she was with. She's with the first generation of new gens. So she's Ruby's and she's probably Panda's or Teddy Bear's kid. I'm not sure who her mom and dad is. But it would be either Teddy Bear, Panda, or Ruby. Those are the three girls. And then Red is my red boy, first gen. So she's the second gen. So I'm gonna recant on that. So she's the second gen. I keep forgetting that Red and that group is 6 months old now. They were born in the fall, and then these are my first gens from them. So, but she has taken care of her, like I said, her own litter, her own hatchmates. I want to use the language that people want to use. And then she's also helped me with everyone since then. So I usually do my hatchings in small groups. So usually around 7 to 8 babies at once is what I like to look at as far as hatching my own. And I don't want to go over like, I had every hatching I have a goal. So most of the goals I have right now, or up to this point, we're trying to get enough of one group to have a really healthy dynamics. And that was very difficult to do because even though I started out with 5 males and 2 females, I lost 3 of my males right away within the first week of their basically breeding program. And so I lost them, and then I ended up losing my 4th one 2 weeks later, and then I ended up with 1. And so luckily they were had already started the breeding program, so I got babies out of that. So I have their sires, which gives me the diverseness I need. Then I acquired the red line from the Theban Otter farm, which was Rebecca Lynch's, is the breeder. This is where she comes from. They were all selectively bred, which means that they were only bred with that line. So I don't know why she's was born the way she was. I was having some issues with the incubator. It was a new incubator, even though I had used it previously. It is what it is. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. Her hip is dislocated, is what it is. So I can tell what's wrong with it. The problem of fixing it was because the quills are so they grow so fast, and so when she was walking, I thought was normal. Obviously, I'm not breeding enough to get a large experience. A lot of the breeders, the average breeders, they can do anywhere from, in a season, as far as their own lines, they can do up anywhere from small ones. We just lost our air conditioner. It popped at line. We have two ACs on the same line and it's not able to handle it, so it's popping it. But anyway, they produce a large quantity, so they can kind of see things and catch things quicker than I can. And so by the time I realized that she was having issues, she had already dislocated her hip. So how she did it, I don't know. They're gonna try to switch it on. But so I don't know. She's the only one that's like that I have. She's probably growing as normal as I would expect. It's not a spinal issue. It's definitely her hip. Like I said, by the time I figured out what was going on, we tried to do all the different taping and different things like that, and it was not working. And so it was making her frustrated, to be honest with you. She started making adaptations, her own. We do a lot of physical therapy together. When she's feeling any discomfort, she will come to me, and I do like physical therapy. I've been trained with humans. Basically the anatomy of animals are basically the same as far as when we're talking about physical therapy or anything like that. I am highly trained as far as working with hip dysplasia and different things like that. So that's when I realized it was her hip. I thought about banding her. It's just not easy to do with a bird because you can actually do more damage than good. Once again, she's able-bodied. So I don't think that she knows that she's different. When she got to her feather stage, and it became time to separate them, she did not graduate down to the grow out kennels. She was just not able to. It was not safe for her to be with them, and so that's when she started helping me out with the babies and such. So. She did really well. She was in a kennel by herself in one of the bachelor pads, but she preferred to be with the babies, so that's where she's helped me out with them. Like I said, I do small batches, and so 3 to 5 babies that were my own. So I think we did 4 hatches. So. She did 3 of those, like I said. She was the first of the 4. So, but anywho, she's able-bodied. Like I said, she actually helps me out. I'm not gonna say more than the other ones because they don't really have the opportunity as much as she does. It helps that she can't fly away. She can move, she can get down off the bed. I put her on the bed and she runs around on it. There's many videos on her doing it. But when I'm working and stuff like that, if she's in the mood, I can tell when she's in the mood because she's not really wanting to. I want to see what your wing is doing because sometimes she gets it caught underneath her leg. Are you gonna come over here and see us? You gonna come over? She got overheated because our AC keeps going off. You gonna come over and see Mama? Yeah? I see the poo. No. You sweet baby. She gets baths. I usually on hot days, I give her a bath. She didn't get a bath today. I asked her if she wanted to come out and get a bath. She did not want to. I'm not giving you a bath right now, but that's how she poos. What she'll do is she'll come up and over like she's doing, and you can see kind of what she's doing. But sometimes she'll inadvertently, obviously, if I haven't changed out her, she gets changed out quite often just because she's not able to just step around it. But she was supposed to get a bath this morning, and she didn't want to. I asked her. So I kind of give her a lot of free choices about what she wants to do. But if she gets really bad, where she's accidentally walked through in it, and stuff like that, she can't clean up as much as she would like, then I just give her a bath. Tell her she's going to have one anyway. But more of the time, if she's good with, and it's small enough that she can maintain it on her own, then and she doesn't want a bath, then I won't. Sometimes she's hurting and baths feel good to her, but like I said, she'll let me know she's hurting and we'll do some therapy. She'll move around so that my hands are like right here. I'll put my hand right here. She'll just come over to my hand and literally just put whatever area of the body that she's having an issue with. She'll just put it literally under my hand and said, hey, rub this type thing. So that's kind of how we communicate. But she's very smart. She goes out in the front room with Mama quite often. But like I said, that's her choice. So she wants to come to Mom. How I know is when I just did what I just showed you guys what I just did. I request her to come over and I say, hey, do you want to go? I don't want to say the words because we're not going in. I only take her out, my birds out during my my free time in the morning when the resident is asleep. It's just because she prefers it that way. So I'm allowed to bring them out. It's not that. It's just that it does any kind of stimulation is any kind of animal or soul is to her is no different. So a bird and a person is no different. So a sweet baby, I know it. You need to clean up yourself. I see that. You're doing a good job. I'm very proud of you. One of the things I do with training all of my birds to get trained is hygiene. And hygiene consists of, we kind of have a little song that we sing when they're little babies. We poo. We don't sleep where we poo. We don't eat where we poo. We need to poo. We don't need them walking your poo. So there's kind of thing. We have a little ditty that we do. You need to stop flipping your little wing over there like that. I saw that. Miss Attitude. She's got something underneath her and she wants me to pull it off, and I know that's gonna gross you guys out. Alright. Is that what you wanted? Smart girl. Yeah, well, I can't. Oh, you're a little rascal. I gotta get a toilet paper. She's asking me to move it. Hi, babies. I'll let you guys see them real quick. I'm gonna go get your toilet paper just a second. Hi, girls. These are all my tuxedos. There was a boy in here, a tuxedo boy. I've been checking because some of them are still young. And so, hi, baby. That's my Ruby. She's an OG girl. And then we have Melody in there, which is one of the tuxedo girls. She's a OG girl. And then we have Panda in there, which is an OG girl. Panda is probably her mom. But the rest are all my originals. This one is from Thieving Otter. This one is from Thieving Otter. So I try to keep my tuxedos together, and then Ruby is my only solid. So she kind of flips back and forth between the two groups, but tuxedos tend to be a little bit larger than the wild pharaoh type, and they seem to be bigger. And so even though these are standard tuxedos, they're almost the same size as the jumbo. They would be considered jumbo size, even though they're technically came from standard. Yeah. So these are all, like I said, these are all sired from their father. Their sire basically was deceased when they were born, and these are like 2 or 3 hatches. They're not all the same age. Like I said, I do small batches. Hey. No, we're not jumping out. We talked about that. And some of them were born last year, are 6 months old, and some of them are born this spring. So they would only be like a month or 2 old. Hi, sweeties. All right. So those are my tuxedos and some of my Theban otters. And then down below, so I found a tuxedo boy in here. So I've been looking at them, and I knew that there was something going on because there was just so much fighting going on. Usually if you just have one boy in there, it's good. I knew I had boys that were grow outs that could be boys. So I lost one of my tuxedo boys. I had 2 of them. So I lost one of them, and that was the one that disappeared on me. And then the other one I finally found. I lost him within it because he wasn't displaying, he wasn't crowing or anything like that. So I couldn't tell. And then finally he started displaying. So then I was able to. But sometimes they're late bloomers. Anyway, these are all my pharaohs and my EBs. And stop jumping. Some of them, they're all different ages. That one's from the spring. Most of my pharaohs are spring babies because I didn't have enough. I only have one pharaoh girl, which is right here, my Daryl. And then all these are her kids. And I used Red to do it. Red, Sunny D, she doesn't like Sunny D. So I couldn't get any sires from Sunny D. But she did sire some of those tuxedos up there that you saw. And so did Darkness. Darkness is in here too. She's my Red back in the back. She's in standard. These are all standard size. The only one that would be probably considered not standard, and Pharaohs, like I said, run very small. But Sparky back there is the only one that's really pretty good size. But I'm starting a buttons line. Unfortunately, I don't have any button girls. So I have 3 or 4 button boys. Hey! They're about the size of buttons. About the biggest you can. They're not the smallest I would like. She wants me to shut the door. Okay, I'm shutting it. You are so... Anyway, so some of them are a year old. Well, my oldest ones will be 2 years old in the fall. And then I have 6 to 8 months olds in there, and then I have the spring babies in there. So I just didn't have enough. I don't like doing large amounts at one time. So I went from my original 7, and then I went down from 7 to 3, and then from that 3 I went and added, I think, 6 more through their progeny their first breeding season, and then I added Rebecca's red line at that point, and then of course we went through winter, and then spring I added my line and some more to my line, because technically it's for a good breeding group you want 5 of the same types. So I only started out with 2 girls, one being an EB or range or whatever. She was more an EB, I think. And then Daryl, who's a pharaoh. So, and then of course, like I said, all of my tuxedos except the red ranges, tuxedos. Those ones came from Rebecca. I have 2 of them. One's Panda, and then Teddy Bear got mauled by my red line. My red line boys were just not doing well. So what I'm doing with them, I'll let you know. I'll show you what I'm doing with them. I tried to do it with my OG boys. This was the second attempt. Sissy wasn't in this time. This first time he was, and they just tore each other up. And so I had one of my feral boys, which is a standard. I had Danny Boy, which is one of my OGs. He's one of my first baby boys from the that I got out of my originals. And then I think Dottie was from an original as well. Dottie is actually the oldest one. And then Sunny D as well. So all those little rascals were in there, and they did not do well. So I separated them, put them back in their individual kennels. Down here I put my Flaxen group couple. They're the only ones that are still together. They are the youngest as well, so that's to be expected. I told the girls all know that if they don't want to be with the boy, they get put back with the girls. So she would be put back with the groups I just showed you. But she's been back with them before. She actually the girls stay with. How I do it is after they all go in with her. So out of the incubator, they go straight into it with her. And then she has them up until they start wing feathers. Then at that point, they go in with the OG moms. So I'll put the OG moms in the grow out, basically. Put all the OG moms from each color group. So it would be, because the next group that I'm going to have out is my Flaxen, because my Flaxen line is I only have the 2. So I have the replacement order coming soon, probably in the fall, and which is fine because they'll be older by then. But she'll be pulled for that OG, and then I will have my Daryl, my Darkness. I have one from so each group I'll pull the oldest girl from each group. So she's my only Flaxen, so obviously she'd be in that group. Ruby, which is my red range. Then I have Melody, which is my tuxedo girl. Darkness, which is my feral girl. And then, not Darkness, is my EB girl, sorry. And Daryl is my feral girl. So all those 4 or 5 girls, and like I said, I did take one from each group. I said, I only started with 2 groups, so it's taken me about almost 2 years to get to this point. But anywho, they will all be pulled and put in a big kennel going like that over there. So they'll have this whole kennel, and then I usually put them in like 3 days before I know I'm going to transfer them over. And so when they get their complete feathered wings in, they get transferred to OG moms. So the OG moms, this is where my nursery is usually. I just have her over there so she can look out the window and such. But anyway, so they get pulled over here and such, and then she either gets the next hatch, because like I said, I usually do like 4 hatches back to back. And if I need any more, and for example, it's recommended to have 5 females to 1 male in a breeding group, right? And I have that. I have that with my tuxedos. I have that with my pharaohs. I have that I don't have that with my ranges. My ranges, the only female I have in that group is Ruby. Now in my range tuxedo group, I have 2. I have Teddy Bear and Panda. So I have 2 there. So that's fine. I can grow that. Like I said, this is the first girl, female, this is the first female I have in that group, and she didn't do well. So I kind of didn't breed them again because I didn't know who did it. I don't know what happened. Red's very reliable, so I don't think it was the male. But like I said, I don't know if it was Panda or Teddy Bear. So I had to. Line has to be expanded. The red tuxedo, because I only have 2. But I have my feral girls finally. So I have Daryl and her, and she has all her progeny. We just saw that, and then that's my my buttons in there. So I have my tuxedos, I have my pharaohs. I don't have enough ranges because, like I said, I only have one female range. And then I don't have, obviously, my flaxen will be taken care of with the, I usually use the Rebecca, I'll use Rebecca's line to do that. Hopefully I'll have enough in that line to do what I need. I have a male, so females is what I need. um, and then of course, like I said, I'm working on my button line. So my button line, they're having a hard time right now. I don't want to open it up when they're doing that because that means they're fighting amongst each other. They're not. I do check them. They have not pulled one feather. It's just them, just basically making a lot of noise and jumping around in there. Anytime I've attempted, this is the second time I've attempted to do the boys. So I have my button group here, which are all pharaohs. They're a mixture of gold pharaohs and wild type. And then, and they're all boys. So I have all, like I said, I have all my pharaohs that I need. I have my tuxedos. I only have one boy that I have. I had two. Like I said, I lost one of them. And then Dottie I can't use. What I did with the tuxedos is that, like I said, I have tuxedo females, and all I have to do is to get a tuxedo. You're gonna get a 50-50 chance. So your base is how I expand with as little as I have is what, for example, my pharaohs is a base color. And in a sense, so it's kind of like if you're looking at a palette, it's a base color. So any of my pharaohs can breed with any of my other types, and I'm going to get a 50-50 of a pharaoh and whatever that type is. So for example, if I breed Daryl or one of my other pharaohs with one of my ranges, which is a solid red bird, I'm going to get 50-50. So I'm going to get ranges and pharaohs, right? Back in 50-50 with those. So the pharaohs I get from that interaction is going to be what I call the gold pharaoh. So basically their stripes are all going to be like a gold hue to it. And then if she's bred with the tuxedos groups, or the tuxedos, for example, my tuxedos girls are bred with the pharaoh wild type, which is with the white, they have the white stripes. Then I'm going to get the same thing. I'm going to get 50-50. So all my tuxedos and all my pharaohs have mixture. I have a mixture of the wild type, and then I have a mixture of the gold. So that's why I have a mixture of that because of different fathers. I have Sunny D, which is my standard. He's a EB. So what he does is he kind of like enhances. He's kind of like, if you're looking at Pokemon, he kind of like enhances the colors of other groups. So if you want, it makes kind of like they pop, and so that's my understanding. And so if I have a girl that the demeanor and is really, but she's kind of like washed out, and she kind of like doesn't kind of look like she's washed out. So I don't really want to washed out babies, but I really like the contrast. So I would breed him with her, and their babies would be enhanced, which means that all their colors would be like just to be poppy. So that's what I use. My Sunny D, and I have a female that's an EB, which is the first time I've ever had that, which is cool. So I finally got an EB female out of this, and I think I have no male other than Sunny D. Danny Boy is the closest, and he's like a kind of like a washed out type. But he's not he's more of a, he's a pharaoh, but he's a pharaoh. But anyway, they're calming down, so I'm going to open it up. These are my closest they're, like I said, they're probably the biggest buttons that you want to have. They're not standard, they're very low. But these are all my little boys. I gotta do it quick because they're gonna start fighting. So those are my little ones. And I know. So those would be, like I said, they're not by any means as small as I would like, but they are very small. In comparison, that's my Sissy. He's a standard. And so he's like almost twice the size as them. And then my jumbo line, which is, like I said, Rebecca Lynch's line in a sense, but she says, oh, they're all mine. These are all mine, and these are all jumbo. And that's Papa right there. And these are all his boys. Ah, sweet babies. And I'm trying to do bachelor pads. So I'm starting in the darkness. You gotta start them in the darkness because they don't fight in the dark. If they weren't ready and I just popped them into like a regular kennel like this and just open it up so they have the whole run of it, it'd be too much space. And if they can get up to fight, then you have too much space for them. So they have to be kind of like standing room only type situation. That space right there, I probably could put 2 more birds in there. And be still okay with that, but I wouldn't be able to put all those birds in a large area. So I would probably put them in this. I have one that's a little bit bigger on this side. This is kept small for a reason, and so when they get to a point where I feel comfortable, probably about a week, I'll keep them here in this darkness, and then it's not completely dark in there. There's filtered light going through, but it's still dark. But they'll go into this kennel over here, and then that usually I take a day off. When I transfer to a kennel like that, I have to be here. I can't just go to work and leave and watch them on the camera and stuff. I have to be here and let me because they can hurt themselves they can hurt each other within like seconds. So it's not like a chicken where they'll peck them one time and walk away. No, it's just full on. I'm gonna unlive you because I'm so mad at you. And yeah, so it's not good. So I need to be here to supervise that. So I usually take the day off when I do a transfer, and I usually do it at night. So the day I work that night, like right now, when it's really dark, not right now when it's like light, where there's diffused light, because it's like still 6 o'clock. But when it's like pitch dark, I will transfer them over to it. So it's night. It's dark for them. And then the morning, that would be the day I would not be working, so that I could watch them for a whole 24 hours of them being in the light and seeing if they'd fight and stuff. Last time I did it with my OG boys, because that's all I had to utilize. Last time I did it, it wasn't good. Sissy got attacked. Dottie got attacked. Dottie never recovered from it. He had so much PTSD from it that he's down there right now having a hard time, because normally he's in one of these dark rooms. He does not like being out here. He's crying. That's him making all that freaking noise. Because he normally is in a dark room. He does not like being out here. I have all my dark rooms right now for the grow outs. Because of I'm probably going to transfer him before I go to bed and put him back in here with the OG, in the dark room with the OG, because Sunny D doesn't need to be in there. But he's having hard times. He does not want to be down here. He's like, I want to go back to my room, Mama, since the OGs didn't use it. But the reason why I haven't transferred him back, because last time it was Sissy, it was him, and it was Sunny D, and then we had a tuxedo that I lost. All of them were in the dark room. They did really well. And then I thought 24 hours, they did really well. I supervised them and all that stuff. And they were like, they didn't even fight. Like right now, this kind of scratching and all that noise that you're making, that's the boys making that noise. But they're just basically hopping up and down, and kind of basically when they hop, they scratch the walls. Which is good because it gets their nails dulled. But anyway, here nor there. They weren't even making any noises at all. They were just like chilling, and I'm like, okay, gosh, this is cool. And they were hatched. Most of them were hatched together, or so they all knew each other. It's not like they didn't know each other. So I thought, okay, they're doing great. So I put them over into this big kind of like where Sissy's at. I did the same thing, took the day off, supervised them and everything else. And then I went to the bathroom, came back, and Sissy was like been attacked so bad it was ridiculous. And then Dottie was like, oh, he was, I can't describe what it looked like, but it looked like, I did not think that that Dottie was going to survive. That's how bad he was. And then Sissy had no way of defending himself. He has crossbeak, so he has no way of defending himself at all. So he just basically, I think, hid in the corner, and I mean, he got beat up pretty bad. The both of them got beat up pretty bad. And then, so I had to, put them in a quiet room. And one good thing about that I've noticed with all my birds, okay, let me clarify. Their environment is very clean compared to, I would say, the average bird that's being taken care of in the United States. So the husbandry I utilize, obviously I'm living with these birds, so I can't just have accumulation of poo in their trays, right? Which is one of the reasons why I don't have a drop tray. Because it would drive me nuts. I couldn't clean it. Stuff would get on the metal. I wouldn't be able to clean it. I can't take these outside and hose them down in the middle of the winter. It was just not feasible for me to do that and have them living in my room. And that was the goal. So I needed to have something. So these are what you call rabbit hutches. So what they have is there's a door drop there that you remove, and then there's a staircase that you can put in there, and then the rabbit goes up and down or whatever. I don't know. But what I do is I put a cardboard separation between the two doors. And I do that. I can do that on the bottom as well. And then it creates instead of having 2 separate floors, I now have 4 units per kennel. So that's how I've done it. Once again, traditionally speaking, in the space that Sissy's in there right now and Dottie's in that space, you'd have, typically, a breeder would have anywhere to up to 10 to 15 birds in that space. They really they want them to be able to move around each other enough, but it's kind of like being in an elevator type situation. It can be pretty crowded for the boys, and that's just because, once again, if they're in a situation, if you're in a crowded elevator, it's very difficult to fight. If you're in a garage or an open area, then you can kind of get your fisticuffs going, right? Same thing with birds and any other species. They have the same issue. So what a lot of breeders do is they just make it so that they make it difficult for them to do it. So what I do, like I said, is I just have one bird for that same space. So obviously I could have more birds for the space that I have, but I would not do that because, once again, that's not conducive to what I want. I would like to generally get all my boys in one kennel. So if I had like one level, the one floor, if I put all my boys in one floor, that would be sufficient. Because let me try to think. I don't even remember how many boys I have right now. So all these kennels are empty. The reason why, because they're all up in there. So I have four Reds and Red Range boys in here. So I have all the Red Range boys I can use. It's the Red Range girls I don't have. I only have but one, which is Ruby. And then I have an EB girl, which is my Darkness, and an EB boy, which is my Sunny D. And we went through all that. But anyway, so let me count my boys. So I have 4 here. Those are all empty. There's nobody in those. Sissy, 5. Dottie, 6. There's 4 in there. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And who's down there? Oh, that's my teddy bear. That's the one that got mauled by the red ones, I think. And then my flaxen boy. Boy, I just lost count. All right, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I have 14 boys. So I have all the boys I need. What I need is girls, because you need one boy to one girl. So only really thing I need, like I said, I'm getting, Rebecca's sending me probably sometime in September, late August, September, I'll get my flaxen line. So that's taken care of. I don't have to breed that. The EB line, I have, like I said, I have one girl and probably one boy, because one of my boys over there in that red group is an EB. So I have one of each of the second gen, so that's fine. I'm good with that. I just use, like I said, if I have somebody that's kind of like my Danny boy who's kind of washed out. I don't know if you can see where Danny's right there. So he's not enhanced. That's just a basic. If I wanted his babies to be enhanced, I would stick him with one of the EB girls, and then their babies would be like popping. So I don't really need a whole bunch of them to utilize them like that. Same thing with the ferals. I didn't really need a whole bunch of them. I did want to have. I have a nice selection. I do want to. I could lose some of the buttons, but I thought that was cool to have a button line. So anyway, I have too many of the feral boys right now. I have too many of my reds right now. So if I needed to, I could donate to. I want to donate to like some of the kids and do a couple and stuff like that. So if I donated to like I'm trying to remember the name of it, the farming program, 4-H and all that stuff. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. But anyway, I would put like one of my feral boys with one of my feral girls, or put one of my feral girls with one of my range EB or range boys. So I think I have 2 range boys and the original papas in there. So it's 3 of those, and then the EB boys in there as well. So I don't technically I only have 1 range that I could get rid of. And then because Red's only 6 months old or 8 months old, so he's got technically another year. But I have his sires already up in there, and I'm good with that. So I always like to have a backup, so I probably wouldn't get rid of any of my ranges just because I have what I need. I do need more red range girls, so I would like to breed Ruby and Red again and try to get some girls out of him. He just does boys. I don't know. I might breed her with. I don't really want to mess her lineup because she's always been bred with him. So, and she gave me 3 boys, so that's kind of cool. Sunny D gave me a boy this breeding season. He gave me a boy, and then he gave me an AB boy and an AB girl. So I have 1 each of that. What else? I bred Melody and some of my Melody and got some of my tuxedo girls. And I got my tuxedo. I had 2 tuxedo boys and I lost 1. Yeah. So they did really good. My lines were doing really well. I have a hard time with the ship stuff. Making it. But after that, I don't have a problem with incubating my own. It's just the ship stuff that I have problems with. So, but yeah, so the only thing I wouldn't breed any of my ferals unless I needed to, just because if I don't have enough in that line. But I wouldn't. The next season, which is my fall, which is whenever Rebecca sends me her eggs, I'm going to gather up some of the flaxen line. I want to add at least 2 of my flaxen couple to that group. And then I want to, I really don't need anything else other than my red line. So I probably add a couple of the red birds in there to see if I can get some females. I'd be upset if I get just males, but I'd add a couple of the female rubies and reds. So what I usually do is when Rebecca tells me that she's shipped it, it usually takes about 7 days to 9 days to ship, to get it to me. So I'll start gathering my eggs up from putting my couples together. So my flaxen line is already together, so that's no big deal. If I can keep them there until September, that's great. She's laid like really 2 or 3 good eggs, and then for the last couple times she's laid soft eggs. She's only been laying for like a week, so I'm not worried about that. But by the time Rebecca's line gets here, she'll be all on a roll. And so I'll just gather their eggs up for like 2 or 3 days, and then I have to put pull Red and put him and Ruby in a kennel together. When she ships, and that'll be back a week, they'll be together, and then by the time they're here, I'll have enough eggs to put them in there, because it only takes like a couple days, so I'm only going to be getting, these are eggs, literally 2 days worth of eggs, literally 2 days. And so these eggs are all going to be incubated just for scientific purposes. They're only going to be incubated up to the point where they start doing their bainage and all that stuff, and then I'll stop the process, because these are not, I'm not having babies. We're just verifying the fertility of my birds is what I'm doing. So that's what I'm doing. And these are all the eggs that they've had today. So that's what I usually do, is to separate my birds that I'm going to be doing. And usually, like I said, whenever I do a shipped eggs, if Rebecca wants to come out with another line, I'm all for it. But these are the only ones. She has several different lines, so I'm not saying that she just has these 2. She has several different lines. The problem is that I only do Caledon eggs, which is lines. So that's basically the cornix that are laying the blue eggs. And so all my birds are all egglet. True blue Caledon. Every last one of them, they're all true blue. And so, which means that their babies are all going to lay blue eggs. All of my females lay blue eggs. And so she has just 2 lines like that that she's offering. Any other lines that she has is the traditional corn. It's a white egg with black, it looks like a Dalmatian egg to me. And they're beautiful eggs, but it's just my thing that I like is differences. So if there's something different about a species, that's what I want. So almost all my chickens are like bantams or specialty birds, like silkies and different things like that. Yeah. So, anywho, I'm going to let you guys go because it's been almost an hour. But this is my breeding program. So if anybody's interested in eggs, I do not ship. I am in the Portland, Oregon area. I don't transport my eggs. I don't move. It would be, you'd have to email me and request. So if it's a special order, it's basically what I do. I don't sell them to the public. It's all special order, private. If you want to get involved with that, like I said, I wanted any excess that I have. Like I said, I want to try to start doing like couples, then donate to like the 4-H and all that stuff. So I had to get a hold of them and say, hey, do you have any kids that want to do quail? And this is what I got. I would not charge, obviously, the children. This is experience for them to learn a skill that they need to learn. So I wouldn't charge them, obviously, for anything like that. So, but I would get them a kit together, and a couple. And usually, what I would do is put the couple together before gave them to the kid that needs to take the couple, and I would like put them together for a period of time, um, and stuff. So I haven't got to there yet, and it would be only like if like my excess is what I would do it. Anybody that's disabled or anything like that I don't euthanize. As you can see, I have Sissy's one of my OGs, Dottie's an OG, and my baby doll here was born this spring. So we don't we utilize, and everybody has an equal opportunity. They just have an opportunity in certain areas. So anybody that has a physical disability does not get bred for obvious reasons. So they're not part of my breeding program. But what I do with utilize with Sissy, and Dottie doesn't do well with anyone. So Dottie is, except with me. Like, I can hold Dottie and everything's fine. I mean, he's still a little bit jumpy, but he still lets me. He coos and all this other stuff. He's a cool old bird, but he cannot be around any other bird. He just has major issues with that. But Sissy has his. I have another female, and the other, she's not disabled. She just has a wonky eye, but I don't breed her either. If they're not breedable, if they're not, if I don't want, if there's something that's not breedable about them, I don't breed them, but I still utilize them. So they're, obviously, she's laying eggs. People can, if I get, I would like to get my eggs donated somewhere, because I'm just basically throwing them in the woods is what I'm doing. And so I get about a month's worth of eggs, and then I just, at nighttime, when it's like 11, 12 o'clock midnight, I just toss them in the woods, and then whatever animal decides to eat it, there they are. But anyway, Sissy helps me with, he has a partner, which is Dora, and she's in there with the tuxedos right now with the girls. So they're on vacay right now. So they'll come and they'll hang out. How I know that the girls want to go back with the boys is because if I open the door right now when they're 8, everything's cool, right? If I open the door when it's like they've ate and they've drank, there's not like, they're not hangry or anything like that. If I open the door and they're like, I want out of here, right? These girls are driving me nuts. Then I put them in with one of their, whatever their partner is, because each one of them has a boy that they like. And so Dora and Sissy are partners. So when she wants to vacate the girls' harem, she will come over and she'll be with Sissy. When she doesn't want to be with Sissy, she wants to go back with the girls. So that's kind of how we roll with that. The first time she decided that they finally clicked, it took me a couple times of introducing them for her to accept Sissy. But when she finally accepted him and everything, they were together for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months. And then she's like, I want to go back with the girls. So she went back with the girls, and then she was with the girls for like less than like a month, and then she's like, I want to go back. So she goes back and forth, but he got hurt. His feelings got hurt the first time she decided to leave. And he literally threw a pouty temper tantrum. And then when she came back was only like 24 hours, because he kind of like was mean to her. And she's like, no, I'm done with that. And so the next day she's like, I'm out of here. And so I put her back. And then she eventually came back again, and he was good with that. He's like, oh, this is how it's going to work. So it's the females in my adobe, in my covey, in my living experience here. They all get free choice. The males do not get choice. In the wild, the birds do. That's how it works. The females choose the male, and if they don't choose the male, that's their choice. So we're just following the same guidelines. So if the girls say, no, I don't want to be here, they go back to the what I call the girls' room or whatever. The only girls that don't get moved is my OGs, unless it's a breeding program. I mean, there's a breeding thing going on, and for example, I only had Daryl as a feral. I needed ferals, so obviously I needed to use her as a breeding to get more of her siblings. I mean, of her children. And so obviously I have enough ferals because I have a whole ton of them now, but I obviously only started out with just her. Because she's a basic bird and because the ferals are the basic line, I just bred her to Sunny D, like I said, and I would do either EB or feral. And in her case, I got a lot of ferals and just the one EB. So that's how we rolled with that. So, and then as soon as I got a boy from her and Sunny D, then I took that boy, which was a feral boy, and bred it to my Darkness, which is an EB, and kept doing it that way. So I just kept trying to keep my line trying not to breed the moms to the daughters. So obviously all my OGs are retired. So Daryl's retired. As soon as she got her kids old enough to be laying eggs, she became OG mama. So she, like I said, she doesn't get bred anymore. Melody doesn't get bred anymore. All my OG girls don't get bred anymore. They're basically, unless I have to. Like, I think Darkness, because we just got the female AB, so Darkness had to be bred, obviously. But if I have enough in that group, I don't breed my OGs. They're retired. They're basically retired. And then I just use my girls. Like I said, they help me out with training my next generations. And then as soon as they're done with OG mamas, the OG mamas tell me which ones are boys and girls. So there's obviously some are feather sexable. The ferals are feather sexable because the females will have spots on them. And then if you got to be really careful, because like, for example, when I started breeding my feral girl with my red boy, I noticed that a lot of my girls, they only got spots like around their neck, very, very like one line. Normally at ferals, you have like spots kind of going down quite a bit. It's very apparent that they're girls. But this particular line between red and one of my feral girls, it was just literally right around the neck, one line of dots, and I'm like, okay, is that a boy or is that a girl? And then of course the girls have if they have the red range gene in them, they have like a red tint to their chest. Instead of the white chest, they'll have a red tint chest. So then you would think it would be a boy, because most of the boys are red tinted. Well, it wasn't. It was a girl. I have a red-chested girl, but she's all spotted, right? So you got to be careful with that. So yeah. So I noticed a couple of those different things that were going on. So it was really hard to tell. But what I do is I rely on my OG girls. Daryl's really good about telling me which ones are boys and which ones are girls. They get really, how they tell me basically is they start like throwing a fit. They start jumping around and doing stuff like this. Stop that right now. That's mostly because of the light. All right, I'm done. The light was shining on them. Sorry. The ones up above are all young girls, and they're just a little bit. The light is a predator alert for them, so it's not so much. When you're in the darkness and you see all these eyes running around trying to find you, and you're trying to be really quiet and not getting eaten, it's scary. So the light is not good for them. But anyway, so when I probably will only be breeding, I don't need any other birds right now. So with the Cornex, the biggest thing is that their life cycle is very short. Like I said, for this time it takes for example, if I had a chicken and a quail that were born in the same hatch, which you can do, by the way, if they were born in the same hatch, the chicken would not start laying eggs for almost 5 months. Depends on the breed of chicken, but anywhere from 3 to 5 months. It's going to take that long for them to start laying eggs. Now, the Cornix will lay within 10 weeks. They'll be laying eggs. They're fully mature within 10 weeks. When that development is not just, they develop like a normal chick and then boom, they hit puberty. No. They literally are, the minute they're born, I would say, as far as equivalency, the first 3 days is equivalent to like a week with a chicken. So they will have full feathers throughout their whole entire body, going from the fluff to the full feathers. They'll have their wing feathers within less than a week. They'll be fully feathered within 2 weeks, except maybe their head. Usually their head is the last thing that goes out. They go from their head. A lot of people say they go from their feet up, which is kind of true in a way. But when they get their wings first, they'll have those wings for like almost 2 or 3 days before they start, like, you can really start noticing their body feathers are coming in. Really get those wing feathers, because that's their defense, right, to get away. So those feathers come out pretty quickly. And then they're fully feathered within 2 weeks. Usually within, like I said, they are already with the OG moms. And then the OG moms start kicking them out, the boys out, and telling me that if they start causing a ruckus, like I said, I had a tuxedo boy that was put in here on accident, and I couldn't tell the difference between them because, and I didn't have any OG boys, moms in there. So it was just the tuxedo girls. And so they didn't start causing a ruckus till recently. And then I'm like, okay. But finally, the girls started laying eggs. And they're behind. If you tip the girls upside down and they're fully mature, they have a blue tint to them. So it's pretty evident. And then the boys usually have they'll swell up, kind of like a baboon does. And then you push on that swelling, and then they'll foam, what's called a foam. It looks like whipped cream to me, by the way. Or it kind of looks like shaving cream. And literally, it looks just like shaving cream. Comes out, and then that's just basically semen, obviously. Did you guys lay another egg? Give me that. Who laid that egg? Who laid this egg, huh? Who did that? There's another one over. No, can't tell. The blue pea pad is hard to tell sometimes. But yeah, so he got stuck up in there, and I didn't know. Both of the boys got stuck up in there. I couldn't tell the difference because the girls, they weren't fully mature at that point, and I didn't want to put the OG moms in there, and so I just left them in there because they weren't fighting. Well, they just started fighting like last week, so I pulled him out this morning. And finally, he hit maturity. He hasn't crowed yet, but he did hit maturity. And I'm like, okay. I just waited. Like I said, it looks like a baboon's behind is what it looks like to me. It's very swollen. It kind of, I don't know. It kind of looks like a pimple, but it basically gets really, really red, and it gets swollen, and it's very evident that there's something going on. And then that's what I was waiting for. So as soon as that happened today, and I pulled him and put him. He's over there and I'm not putting him with anybody right now because he just literally is he's my youngest baby boy, and I don't want to. He's not old enough to be put with anybody right now. He still has to be fully mature. He's just a baby. But I pull him as soon as they tell me. The girls tell me, "Hey, we got a boy in our midst." Then I pull him and put him in the kennel and put him by himself. So I like to keep him with the girls as long as possible until they basically say, hey, get this boy out. Because it just makes him a better partner when the breeding program starts. That they're kind of been hanging with those girls. But when they hit puberty, and then, kind of do it that way. But I do notice that when it gets close, if you have your, for example, all your birds are laying eggs and everything, and you've eliminated the predator issues, you've eliminated the fact that they're molting, because some of my birds just started molting. But you eliminate all those factors, and there's like, why is the egg production down? Because you got a boy in there. Their egg production will go down if there's a boy in there. Especially if it's a teenage boy. If it's a mature boy, it really doesn't. I don't see much of a difference. But if it's a teenage boy, you two need to stop right now. So there are different things. I know we talked about that. I'm going to close this out with training. So the things that I'm training them with is hygiene. We talked about that. The other thing I'm training them with is to be quiet. My daughter was on the phone and she's like, Mom, that sounds like a rat screeching. I'm like, I don't know, but it works. So I basically do this. And they're very quiet. So this basically alarm that Mama sends out, and for all of them to be quiet and settle down. So if they're playing and everything is great, I don't really do that to just tell them to be quiet. But if it's at night and there's like, they got scared because of a noise, especially with 4th of July was just like ridiculous. But if they got, the 4th of July was just making them upset. So I would just like, and then they would all quiet down like that.
Sherry, pizza.